What's up, everyone? Let me tell you about something that literally exploded on SportsCenter today that has the entire Lakers community absolutely buzzing with the possibilities of what this could mean for the rest of the season and beyond. I'm talking about the type of trade move that doesn't involve a max contract superstar, but when you really break down the impact it could have on a team that's already playing at championship level, you realize this could be exactly the final puzzle piece that transforms a good team into an unstoppable team. So get comfortable, because what I'm about to share from today's show isn't just another deadline speculation. It's real information backed by multiple sources and analysts who are all seeing the exact same golden opportunity that the Lakers have right in front of them right now. All right, here's the situation that had the entire SportsCenter panel absolutely obsessed this morning. And I'm talking about experts who've covered the NBA for decades, but couldn't hide their excitement about the implications of what they were reporting. The main news, the headline that's going to dominate basketball conversations for the next few weeks, is that the Sacramento Kings have basically opened up their entire roster for trades, according to Jake Fisher's reporting. And buried in that massive announcement is a name that has Lakers fans absolutely salivating with anticipation: Keon Ellis. Now, before you think this is just another rumor mill churning out content, let me walk you through exactly why the ESPN crew was taking this SO seriously, and why this could genuinely be one of the smartest moves Rob Pelinka makes all season. Hey, what's up, everyone? Before we jump into this massive Lakers news, I just want to ask you for a quick favor that would mean the world to me. If you could just take 1 second right now and hit that like button, it would be incredibly important to me and helps this channel grow so much. I know it seems like a small thing, but those likes genuinely make a huge difference in getting this content out to more Lakers fans who need to stay updated on everything happening with this team. So seriously, just tap that like button real quick. It literally takes 1 second, and it helps me out more than you know. Let me start by giving you the full context that SportsCenter was establishing right at the beginning of the broadcast, because understanding what's happening in Sacramento is absolutely essential for grasping why this opportunity exists in the first place. The Kings are having an absolutely disastrous 2025-26 season, like we're talking about a team that came into the year with playoff aspirations and has completely fallen apart. Their record is terrible, their chemistry is broken, their system isn't working, and the front office has apparently decided that it's time to blow things up and start over. According to Jake Fisher's reporting that was discussed extensively on SportsCenter today, the Kings are willing to trade anyone on their roster except for Keegan Murray and Nike Clifford. That means everyone else, from veterans like Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan to younger pieces like Keon Ellis and Malik Monk, is potentially available. Now here's what really got the SportsCenter analysts fired up about this situation. And this is where you start to see why the Lakers are in such a perfect position to capitalize. Keon Ellis represents exactly the type of player that becomes available when rebuilding teams need to make moves, but don't want to completely tank their future. He's only 25 years old, he's shown legitimate NBA skills, especially as a defender and three-point shooter. He's on a relatively cheap contract right now, and most importantly, he's the kind of complementary piece that contending teams desperately need, but that rebuilding teams can afford to move. The Kings aren't building around Ellis, they're not viewing him as a cornerstone, which means his trade value is reasonable rather than astronomical. But here's where the story gets really interesting according to the ESPN breakdown today, and this is what had the entire panel debating for like 30 minutes straight. Keon Ellis isn't just any available role player, he's someone who fills specific needs that the Lakers have been trying to address all season long. Let me walk you through exactly what Ellis brings to the table, because when you see how perfectly he fits what the Lakers need, it becomes obvious why this trade makes so much sense. First, and most importantly, Ellis is an elite perimeter defender. I'm not talking about being just solid or adequate, I'm talking about legitimately elite. The type of guy who can guard the opposing team's best perimeter scorer and make his life absolutely miserable for 30 to 35 minutes a game. The Sports Center crew today was showing clips of Ellis defending some of the best guards and wings in the league, and the guy is relentless. He has that high-energy, always active defensive style that disrupts opposing offense, that forces turnover, that makes quarterbacks second-guess their decision. For the Lakers, who currently have a middle-of-the-pack defensive rating, adding someone with Ellis's defensive intensity and ability would be a massive upgrade. They've been getting torched on the perimeter at times this season. They've struggled containing quick guards who can penetrate, and Ellis solves those problems immediately just by being on the court. But it's not just about defense. And this is what the ESPN analysts kept hammering home over and over during today's discussion. Ellis can shoot, and I mean really shoot. Last season he shot 43.3% from three-point range, which is elite tier in the NBA. This season he's shooting 42.4%, which is still absolutely fantastic. We're not talking about a defensive specialist who you have to hide on offense. We're talking about a legitimate 3-and-D player who can space the floor, who can knock down open corner threes, who defenses have to respect and account for. With Luka Doncic on the Lakers now, having reliable three-point shooters around him is crucial for maximizing his effectiveness, and Ellis provides exactly that. What really got me thinking during the Sports Center segment today was when they started breaking down Ellis's age and timeline, because this is where the move becomes even more attractive for the Lakers. At 25 years old, Ellis fits perfectly with the Luka Doncic era in Los Angeles. He's not some 32-year-old veteran who you're hoping has 1 or 2 good years left. He's entering his prime years and could potentially be a key rotation piece for the Lakers for the next 5 to 6 years, if they can re-sign him. That long-term fit matters tremendously when you're making roster decisions, because you want pieces that align with your star player's timeline, rather than just short-term rentals. The panel also dove deep into the trade packages that might make sense for both teams, and this is where the conversation got really detailed and fascinating. One proposal that kept coming up, which apparently originated from Lakers legacy and was being discussed by multiple analysts, would send Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, or Dalton Knecht, and potentially the Lakers' 2031 first-round pick to Sacramento in exchange for both Keon Ellis and Malik Monk. Now that's a package that would absolutely transform the Lakers' depth and versatility, giving them 2 high-quality rotation players who can contribute immediately. But here's where the debate got interesting on Sports Center, because not all the analysts agreed this was the right move for the Lakers. Some argued that giving up Dalton Knecht, who was a first-round pick just last year and has shown flashes of potential, plus a future first-rounder for 2 players who might be free agents soon, is too risky. Others countered that when you're in championship contention mode, with LeBron James still playing at a high level and Luka Doncic in his prime, you can't afford to sit on young prospects and future picks. You need to go all in on winning now. The risk of Ellis and Monk leaving in free agency is real, but the potential reward of adding 2 quality rotation players to an already strong team is worth it. What the ESPN crew kept coming back to, and I think this is absolutely critical to understanding why this trade makes sense, is that the Lakers are literally 1 or 2 pieces away from being legitimate championship favorites. They're already 6-0 in clutch games this season, which shows they know how to win tight games when it matters. They've been dominant against most teams they're supposed to beat. Their only losses have come against elite competition like Oklahoma City, or in weird situations where they had injury issues. Adding Ellis and potentially Monk to this roster would give them the defensive versatility and offensive firepower to compete with anyone. The show also spent significant time analyzing what Sacramento would want in return. And here's where the negotiation gets tricky. The Kings are in full rebuild mode, which means they want young players and draft picks, not veteran salary filler. Gabe Vincent doesn't move the needle for them. Max Christie is okay, but not a huge asset. So the real value in any Lakers package would have to be that 2031 first-round pick. The question is whether 1 first-rounder is enough to get both Ellis and Monk, or if the Lakers would need to include additional picks or young players to sweeten the deal. One thing that came up repeatedly during the Sports Center discussion that I found absolutely fascinating was the competition for Ellis's services. According to reporting, more than half the league has called Sacramento inquiring about Ellis's availability. That's not an exaggeration. That's actual reporting from credible sources. When you have that many teams interested in one player, it drives up the price and creates a bidding war situation. The Lakers can't just assume they'll be able to lowball the Kings and get Ellis cheap. They're going to have to make a competitive offer or risk losing out to another contender. The panel also explored Ellis's situation in Sacramento and why his playing time has been so inconsistent this season, which actually plays into why he might be available for trade. New Kings coach Doug Christie hasn't been giving Ellis consistent minutes, despite his obvious talent and production. Some nights he plays 25 minutes, other nights he barely sees the court. That inconsistency is frustrating for a player who's trying to establish himself and position himself for a big contract in free agency. From Ellis's perspective, getting traded to a contender like the Lakers, where his role would be clearly defined and his minutes would be consistent, could be exactly what he wants. What really struck me during today's ESPN analysis was when they started talking about how Ellis would fit into J.J. Redick's system with the Lakers. Redick loves versatile defenders who can switch, who understand rotation, who play with discipline and energy. Ellis checks every single one of those boxes. Offensively, Redick's system emphasizes ball movement, floor spacing, and taking quality three-point shots, which again plays perfectly to Ellis's strengths as a catch-and-shoot threat. The scheme fit is almost too perfect, like Ellis could probably walk into the Lakers system tomorrow and know exactly what to do because his skill set aligns so naturally with what they're trying to accomplish. The Sports Center crew also discussed the financial implications of acquiring Ellis, and this is important because it affects the Lakers' long-term planning. Ellis is on an expiring contract, which means he'll be a free agent after this season and will be expecting a significant raise. The Lakers would need to decide whether they're willing to commit long-term money to keep him, or if they're essentially renting him for this playoff run. That uncertainty is part of why his trade value might be lower than you'd expect for a player of his caliber, because teams know they might only get a few months before having to negotiate a new deal. One aspect that got extensive discussion on ESPN was how adding Ellis would impact the Lakers' defensive schemes and versatility. Right now, the Lakers have good individual defenders, but sometimes struggle with consistent team defense and communication. Ellis's defensive intensity and awareness could help raise everyone's level, could set a tone that permeates the entire unit. The analysts were showing clips of how the Lakers might deploy lineups, with both Marcus Smart and Ellis on the court together, creating this absolutely suffocating perimeter defense that would make life hell for opposing backcourts. What I loved about today's Sports Center coverage was how they connected this potential Ellis acquisition to Rob Pelinka's broader strategy and patience. The show talked about how Pelinka didn't panic when the Marc Gasol trade fell through, how he didn't overpay for Nick Claxton or other centers that became available, how he's been strategic about building through free agency and the buyout market with guys like Marcus Smart and DeAndre Jordan. All of that patience and asset preservation was leading to this moment, where the Lakers have the flexibility and resources to make a significant trade without gutting their roster or mortgaging their entire future. The panel also spent time analyzing the Lakers' recent performance and why now is the perfect time to add pieces. The team is 6-0 in clutch situations. Luka Doncic has been playing at an MVP level over the last few games. LeBron, despite looking slightly less athletic, is still contributing at a high level, and the role players around them have been solid. This isn't a desperate team trying to save a sinking ship. This is a team that's already good and just needs 1 or 2 more pieces to become great. That's the ideal situation to be making additions, because you're not trying to fix fundamental problems, you're just optimizing an already functional system. One thing that kept coming up that I think is absolutely vital is the importance of the trade deadline timing. We're getting close now, which means if the Lakers want to make this move, they need to act soon. The longer they wait, the more likely another team swoops in with a better offer. or Ellis gets moved elsewhere. There's also the question of integration time. You want to acquire players with enough regular season games left that they can learn the system and build chemistry before the playoffs start. Waiting too long creates problems, even if you ultimately get the deal done. Listen, after watching the entire SportsCenter segment today about Keon Ellis potentially coming to the Lakers, I'm absolutely convinced this is the type of smart, calculated move that championship teams make. Ellis isn't going to be an all-star, he's not going to sell jerseys or generate massive media attention, but he brings exactly what the Lakers need most: elite perimeter defense and reliable three-point shooting. His age fits the timeline, his skills fit the system, his personality and work ethic fit the culture. Yes, there are risks with his free agency situation and with what you'd have to give up, but when you're this close to competing for a championship, you have to be willing to take calculated risks. This could be the move that pushes the Lakers over the top and makes them legitimate favorites in the West.